Nice Chinese girls don't sing, swear, or shout out loud. Nice Chinese girls talk with their eyes averted, sit with legs crossed, and laugh with hand in front of mouth. Nice Chinese girls don't drink, smoke, or talk too loud. Nice Chinese girls sip their tea slow, use umbrellas in the sun, wear skirts and perm their hair. Nice Chinese girls don't get divorced or become dykes. Nice Chinese girls marry nice Chinese boys, have sons, stay home and keep dinner warm on the stove. Nice Chinese girls don't question, argue, or complain. Nice Chinese girls suffer in silence, endure with a smile, use chopsticks and speak fluent Chinese. Nice Chinese girls don't make waves or talk back. Speak only when spoken to and learn young to turn the other cheek. Nice Chinese girls don't stay out late or take the subway alone at night. Nice Chinese girls get straight A's, never tell lies or say what they mean. I was born a nice Chinese girl. Good thing it was a phase I soon outgrew.
Good evening and welcome. I'm thrilled to have you here this evening. You are at the Sinister Wisdom discussion with film director Jennifer Abod about her new film, Nice Chinese Girls Don't. We've put some more information about the film into the chat. I know many of you have already seen it. I'm going to welcome you a little bit, and then we're going to move right into our discussion with Jennifer. My name is Julie Enzer, and I'm happy to welcome you here this evening. As we begin, I want to acknowledge that we're all situated in different places and on land that is historically not ours. May we all take a moment to acknowledge the land that we are on and the indigenous people who lived here and continue to live here. As always, we have a full hour planned for you, and we will wrap up right around the end of the hour, about 8 o'clock on the East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, about 4 o'clock. And I'm also happy to note that Cheryl Clark just joined us. And so to break up so that you don't feel like you're seeing too much of me, Cheryl is going to provide the rest of the introduction. Dr. Clark is getting her headset on. And welcome, Cheryl Clark. So happy to have you. I've spotlighted your video. I had just started and done our land acknowledgements. So if you might pick up telling folks a little bit about Sinister Wisdom and giving the ground rules for the evening, that would be fantastic.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you for inviting me to introduce this evening. I hope people can hear me. If you can't, too bad. You can order Sinister Wisdom 120 Asian Lesbians at www.sinisterwisdom.org/SW120. You can also subscribe to Sinister Wisdom at www.sinisterwisdom.org/subscribe. Thank you for joining us. And pardon me for reading. My days of memorizing are over. Please feel free to put comments in the chat throughout the evening. You can share where you are as you tune in and say hi to friends in the chat. Welcome. Good evening and welcome again to the Sinister Wisdom discussion with film director Jennifer Abod about her new film, Nice Chinese Girls Don't. More information about the film is in the chat. As Julie said, I'm Cheryl Clark, and I'm pleased to welcome you to this evening's events. As we begin, I want to acknowledge that we all are situated in different places and on land that historically is not ours. May we all take a moment to acknowledge the land we are on and the indigenous peoples who lived here. We have a full hour planned for you with plans to wrap up around 8 p.m. on the East Coast, including time, our traditional dance number at the end, including time for our traditional dance number at the end. If you are not familiar with Sinister Wisdom, it is a quarterly journal of lesbian literature and art. If you're not currently a subscriber, I encourage you to sign up for a subscription today by going to our website. A group of monthly sustainers is vital to Sinister Wisdom. If you want to give $3, $5, or maybe $100 a month to Sinister Wisdom, you can sign up as a subscriber at www.sinisterwisdom.org/sustainers. Julie Enzer, the editor and publisher of Sinister Wisdom, sends emails every month when sustainer gifts arrive with behind the scenes details and new information about what we have coming for the journal. Being a sustainer is a great way to support Sinister Wisdom. On behalf of the Sinister Wisdom Board of Directors and editor Julie R. Enzer, I appreciate the many ways that lesbians lift up and support the work of Sinister Wisdom and have done so for many years. Thank you. A few housekeeping notes before we begin the discussion with Jennifer Abod. First, please keep your microphone muted throughout the program. If we detect noise from you, we will mute you. Remember, there will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end, and everyone will have an opportunity to unmute and wave and cheer at the end of our program this evening. Somebody's not muted.
Oops.
As the program proceeds, if you want to show appreciation for the discussion and particular comments, you can use the reactions emojis on Zoom. Go ahead and test that out now.
Yeah.
Also, feel free to light up the chat on Zoom. We will monitor the chat for questions to ask Jennifer. If you need technical assistance this evening, you can chat with Juno Stilley or Casey Moore, who are both on tap for technical assistance for the evening. Everybody works so devotedly for Julie. We are recording the event this evening and will make it available starting tomorrow or Thursday at www.sinisterwisdom.org/SW120. Finally, this issue of Sinister Wisdom is in the mail to all subscribers, but it is wending its way to everyone very slowly. With COVID and the former administration, we don't need to mention any names, our beloved USPS has had many challenges. I have had sightings of the journal out there in the world. So your copy should be your copy should be arriving soon. If you do not have your copy by May 14th, shoot Julie an email and she'll send you a replacement. Also, there are a few extra copies of the journal on hand. You can purchase individual copies at sinisterwisdom.org/SW120, and we will mail those out to you. Please think about friends who might love this issue and share it with them. Now, on to our program. It is my pleasure to introduce Jennifer Abod. With a PhD in intercultural media education and women's studies, Jennifer Abod is an award-winning documentarian in both audio and video, who was part of the dawning of the second wave of feminism in the US. You sure you're that old, Jennifer?
Baby cakes, I am. I am. I'm 75 years old.
You need
I'm
to
gonna be
mute,
75 years old in June.
you need to mute yourself.
That's impossible.
Abbott was a radio broadcaster for 19 years. She hosted and produced news, features, live talk shows, documentaries, and special programming on public and commercial radio in Connecticut, Philadelphia, and Boston. She was the first woman in Connecticut to host a nightly AM radio talk show, The Jennifer Abod Show.
Mm-hmm.
As a media specialist in Digital Equipment Corporation, as a media specialist at Digital Equipment Corporation, she produced, directed, and wrote both audio and video projects. In the 1970s, Abbott was a singer-songwriter with the New Haven Women's Liberation Rock Band and a co-writer and actor in The Liberation of Lydia, the first feminist radio soap opera. In 1988, she created Profile Productions to produce and distribute audio and video projects featuring feminist and lesbian activists, cultural workers, particularly women of color.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Abbott taught at the University of Massachusetts at Boston, Worcester State, Hofstra University, and Cal State Long Beach. So now I would like to introduce Jennifer Abod and Julie Enzer. And thank you for attending.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was great. Thank you very much. That was very long-winded. I've lived a long life, you know.
Oh Lord, how you gonna deal with her?
I gotta edit the damn biography thing. It's got to be a lot shorter than that in the future, you know. But I have to add something, which is
there was more, but
no, I mean the thing I want to add is that I'm a poet. That's what I haven't added.
Okay.
I have two, and you know what? My first two published poems were in da 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 Sinister
Sinister
Wisdom.
wisdom.
And so that's important to me now, the poetry part, because and as Angela Bowen always said, who I made my second film about, you don't have to just do one thing in your life, and I lived with a woman for 37 years, so I follow her philosophy as much as I can, even though she's not here.
Well,
Anyhow.
she knew what she was talking about.
Oh, always.
Always.
Always. Yes, she did. Yes. Okay. We've totally hijacked this event. So go ahead, Julie.
Come on,
Very
Julie.
well.
Carry
Get
on.
on in
You know,
there.
Thank you, Cheryl, and thank you, Jennifer, and thank you everyone for coming. I know many of you, because I had a number of emails from folks today, I know many of you had the great chance to see the 20-minute film, Nice Chinese Girls Don't, that Jennifer made. And also for those of you scrolling through participants, you may see we do have a special guest here this evening, the subject of the film, who we hope to hear from as we go through some questions and have our chat, and then maybe we can persuade Kitty to do a little reading for us as well. But first, Jennifer, I'd love for you to talk with folks a little bit about the genesis of the film. Why this film and why now?
Okay. I listened to all of Julie's questions, and I want to let you know they're great. The questions are wonderful. Now, whether my answers are good enough or not, I don't know, but the questions are stupendous.
We'll be the
So,
judge of that.
okay, that's right. See, Angie would have said the same thing. So the film started out as a small documentary for old lesbians organizing for change. Kitty Sway had been invited as the first Asian lesbian writer person, really, to read at OLOC in all its history. And so it was a big deal to have her come. But it was at a different time when COVID was just hitting and Trump was issuing all kinds of weird things, about airplanes and tickets and people and Asians and everything. And it made it complex for Kitty to go. And I got it. I really got it. So I said, okay, well, why don't we just make a documentary, because I'm going, I'll be there. We'll just make a documentary, and, I'll take it to OLOC. So I asked OLOC for $500. And within a period of 2 months, I think, Kitty, I think it was 2 months. You don't know. Okay. Can't remember. Okay. Put your mic on. Hey girl, put your mic on. Thanks, Ellen. Kitty Sway's right here. There she is by the refrigerator. Hi, Kitty. Hello, Kitty. Yay, Kitty.
Hi, everyone.
So I met Kitty at OLOC, and I knew her pretty well at that time because I met Kitty at OLOC about 2 years ago. We had discovered that we lived 3 blocks from each other for 4 years. Yeah. So when we figured that we lived close to each other, we became friends, and she has a tremendous archive of photos that I have been looking at and watching her collect and arrange for, as long as I knew her. And I was unfamiliar with her poetry. I didn't know Kitty Sway. So I became familiar with her. We became friends. And in that little apartment in Cambridge with her dog Bo, right? And so anyhow, I said, okay, let's just do it. So I hired a camera person, a cinematographer, professional cinematographer, a lesbian. That was the and to do that, she took $500 instead of the $1,000 that she takes. I mean, you asked me a question, so I'm answering it. Anyhow. It was intended for OLOC. I created the documentary. There was a standing ovation, and I said, well, if everybody wants it as a film, I gotta have money. Because I got it, so, and there were 2 lesbian angels there at OLOC. They gave me enough seed money to actually begin the process of turning what was a conference presentation, a conference documentary, into an actual short film. And I think it's been doing very well, all over the world. And I was just delighted that recently Women Make Movies picked it up. And so all 3 of my films are at Women Make Movies. And that was really important to me. Who knows what's going to happen to Women Make Movies, but it's an organization that you have to support, because it could disappear like our bars and everything else. And that's the place where my film on Audre Lorde went, my film on Angela Bowen went. There's so many powerful, powerful films that are coming out of there, but it needs money. And so, along with Sinister Wisdom, our lesbian and feminist organizations just really, we got to think about tithing. There's not that many of us.
So
Okay,
Jennifer,
next. Yeah, I'm sorry.
for folks that aren't familiar about that kind of process of like, you made a film and you showed it at a conference, and then what's involved with taking that conference presentation film and
Wow.
turning it into what we all watch through Women Make Movies. Just tell us a little bit about what's different. What would we have experienced at OLOC that we didn't experience here? How does that transition happen?
Okay. No one's asked me that question before, so I had to do a quick memory. So the first thing, the obvious thing, was to take out every reference to OLOC from the film, because in the film it was scripted. Okay, Kitty doesn't have a great memory either. We're all, memory is an issue. So we thought, okay, let's script this thing, let's script it. So she's sat down. We did it in one day, by the way. The filming madness. And anyway, so I took out everything, every reference to OLOC. That was the first thing. And I improved the quality of it. I mean, I had very little time to put it, so I improved everything, all the production value of the film. I did some editing. I made it shorter because I think it was an hour or something. I don't know, it was 40 minutes, and I made it into 20 minutes, as a short. So it took a lot of work, and I had to raise more money in order to do it. It wasn't just the money that and never really quite made enough, never do. But you know how that is. You do it because it has to be done. It's a story that needs to be told. It's part of the work. We're feminist activists, scholars. We do it with a passion that's beyond a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And we have always, so many of us, the hours that have been put into, all these organizations that we want people to know about, so.
Yeah. So what emerges in the short that we see, rather than a direct address, and thank you to OLOC for the work, what we see is the second part of the film is this beautiful reflection on aging and and Kitty speaks really, I think, personally and powerfully about her experiences with aging, and reads from a more recent poem. I don't think that one had the writing at the end, Kitty, had been published. And so it becomes more of a theme than a speaking to a conference.
Let me just say something, and I know if Kitty wants to say something about the the last poem. The last poem that she read, I had to edit. I had to edit her poem in order to keep it in the film. It was very long. It's a very long poem. It's a very long. People would have gone,
oh, no,
you don't watch a movie for 20 minutes. I was like, okay, no, it's long. It's a long poem. Okay, what are you gonna do? Okay, anyhow, so, and I always wanted that issue of aging that Kitty brought up to be a discussion, and it never ever has, never has, because in some ways, there's things to talk about in that poem. There's a lot of things to talk about. And we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it from our perspective as getting older. We didn't talk about it in terms of ageism within our own movements. We don't talk about any of that shit. And that was the last poem. And that was so powerful. And I have no idea what the original question was at this point. So I hope I answered something about it. Kitty, do you want to say something about the last poem? That
it was hard to write. It was hard to write.
because I felt it was very revealing. And as you know, it took me quite a long time to feel comfortable with and admit or celebrate the fact that I am old.
Mhm.
You know, and not to say, well, you know, I'm 50 something, well, you know, it's like, okay, I'm 67 and I'm so glad to be here at 67. Was there something else in the question which I forgot? I'm sorry.
It was just, it's wonderful to hear you. It's wonderful to hear you talk about the poem. It's just wonderful to hear you talk about it. You don't get a chance to talk about your poems. And so let me ask you a question, because this is a rare opportunity for me, actually. When you look at the film and you see the film, what is that like for you? Uh, are you proud of yourself? Are you, I mean, what's that like for you? I know what it's like for me. You know, I'm proud of the work. You know, I think it's great. You know, that we did that. You know, oh my God, we did that. How did we do that? But you're
Well,
you. So how do you feel when you watch the film?
what I feel is I feel proud of you and the fact that you did the work, you put the work in, and you know, out of nothing came something, as you yourself said. So you know, I'm very proud of Jennifer, and please support the film, the director, and of course, Sinister Wisdom. And I'll say
Well,
more later, I hope.
oh,
Oh,
good.
of
Okay.
the
Thank you.
poem.
Well, Kitty,
Yeah, it was just a celebration of who we are at this age.
Yeah,
and
I want
Kitty,
more of that.
Barbara Ruth asks in the chat, is there a place that folks can read and see the entire poem? Or is it still waiting to find its way physically manifest in the world?
Well, it's in Nice Chinese Girls Don't, but since I have Barbara Ruth's email, just
We'll send it to you.
I'll send it, Barbara Ruth, I'll send it to you.
And
But is it waiting? But you're talking about Nice Chinese Girls Don't is a book, but it hasn't been published yet. What are you still looking for that to happen? Because if people want to see the poem and they wait for a book that hasn't yet been picked up by a publisher, that's a long time to wait. So I mean, I don't know what your policy is about that.
Which is why I'm gonna email it.
Okay. I'm a
Nice
director. I
Chinese
have a,
Girls
you know,
Don't is forthcoming.
okay, good.
that's great. So I do have sort of in a similar vein, and I think maybe right now I have a small clip from the film. We saw the opening of the film with Kitty reading from a poem, and now we have a clip from about minute 12. It's just about a minute long. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll look at it. I thought it was a really beautiful moment in the film that opens up lots of things for us to think about. So I'm getting ready to share my screen. And you're going to, oops. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second because I didn't have the right clip up, and now I'll do it again.
You said you're going to email your poem. Who are you going to email it to so that all of us can see it?
Oh, I'll have to figure that out. I'll talk to Julie
Okay.
and get your contacts or something. I'll figure out a way. How's
All
that?
right. We'll see this clip.
The award-winning photographer Jill Posner asked me to pose for the Lesbian Sex magazine on our backs. At first I said no, but I wanted to show that beauty is in every part of a woman. Triceps, biceps, calves, not just tits and ass. So I agreed, but insisted they include one of my poems to show that I wasn't just a body, but a writer too. Celebrity seduced me. I was much sought after and full of myself. But the tides turned against me and I fell into dark days. There was a rift in the arts community when Unbound Feet split. My nude photos and on our backs upset some in the Asian community. And many feminists were violently upset when I came out as a leather woman and wrote about it. All of this brought me a lot of pain. I left San Francisco and moved with.
I'm going to pause it right there. My question for Jennifer and Kitty, you chime in as well, is one of the things that, and this is just a short clip that shows how Jennifer brings up issues, a variety of issues in lesbian communities that have been sources of conflict and pain, alcoholism, splits in various cultural formations, controversies about sex practices, different approaches to sexual expression. And early on, we saw really powerful footage about racism and how women of color are treated in lesbian communities. And I wanted Jennifer to share with us how she approaches these kind of issues in her filmmaking, recognizing that it's both profoundly validating for folks to see these issues grappled with from inside our communities on film, and also it can be profoundly difficult for people to see as well.
Let me just say something, Julie, and
Yes.
everybody. That clip was beautiful.
It was. It's a really beautiful clip, and you know, I have to say, my first encounter with Kitty was that issue of seeing that issue of On Our Backs. So you know, it was interesting for me to see that in this film. So Jennifer, will you talk a little bit about how you sort of approach these issues in your filmmaking?
I will, but I want to ask a question first. Okay, I need to turn it around for a second because I want to know, Julie and Cheryl, what you thought about it. I mean, what it brought up for you. That's really what I would like as a discussion. You know, what did that bring up for you? People of you know, the people who know what this was about. I mean, I'd like to hear from you. I've never been able to have that conversation. You know, what is your reaction to that? What did you think about it? What's your experience with it, or something? Something. Give me something back here. Oh, you're mute, Cheryl. You're mute.
Cheryl's muted, and Cheryl, I added a pin so that you could respond. Okay.
What is a pin, Julie?
So that everyone sees you on the screen.
Oh, must they?
Yeah.
I thought the quality of the filming was lovely, and the photographs of Kitty were lovely, lovely, lovely. The black and the white was just beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, you know, I haven't had the feedback, you know, so what about you, Julie? Thank you, Cheryl.
You're welcome, darling.
I thought, you know, I thought that there were a million stories behind what's a really supple narration of, and it's a narration then combined with the intersplicing of the images. And I, you know, was really curious about the formation. About the pieces behind it. Why did Unbound Feet break up? What did that feel like? What were the sorts of consequences of that? How did that, you know, experience of the photo shoot with Jill Posner, you know, which I imagine must have just felt so kind of empowering and powerful and exciting to be in that magazine. But then at some later point, it becomes a source of pain as women express judgments and don't make it sort of this wonderful experience. And I thought that was all layered and interlaced within the film.
Right, that's right. I'll answer one part of the question. maybe Kitty can answer the other part, because in terms of the question about Jill, you unmute yourself. You can say no if you don't want to, you know, I'm not, but at least unmute yourself and say no. Anyhow, you know, that question about Jill Posner that Julie asked, I thought was pretty cool. You have any thoughts about that, or do you want to repeat the question, or?
No, I was able to hold this one.
Okay.
I met Jill in San Francisco. I was training for gay games. I was training for the bodybuilding. And she approached me and said that she was working on a book about English bodybuilders. And so she wanted to talk to me about that. And by the way, I'm the photo editor for On Our Backs. I said, okay, well, I don't read that, you know. I guess you don't really read it, but she convinced me to do it because I was adamant that I needed to have some of my work along with the centerfold, whatever it's called, so that, you know, I wanted, well, first of all, I wanted to do that photo shoot to reject the patriarchal notion that beauty is face, tits, and ass. I wanted to make the statement that the whole of a woman is beautiful. Biceps, triceps, you know, the whole of the body is beautiful, which is why I was able to show my body. But I also insisted I have one of my poems so that people know that I'm a writer. I'm not just a body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yes, that was very, I had to work very, very carefully around that. I could not include all of the answers to the questions that you had, Julie. There was no, that would have been a real documentary. Not to say that that documentary couldn't have happened, but remember what I was making it for. I was making it for a conference presentation. In order to go back, by the time I was ready to do this, Kitty had already moved to San Francisco. The relationship had changed and her life had changed. The time had passed. So we were very lucky to have what we have. Okay. But those are wonderful questions that you asked. And it took a lot to figure out how to layer it. I mean, what can I say? I mean, I did, you know, I tried to think about it from every possible angle. You know, I wanted to protect her. You know, I wanted to, you know, I wanted to represent how she said that just now, when she spoke just now. You can see how she said it. And I wanted that to feel real, you know, because I think that judgment that was thrown at her at that time, and who knows, if I was there, I might have been part of it. I really don't know, to be honest with you. I really don't know. I had to hear it from her perspective to understand, to learn something. And I always say that. I always do my films because I want to learn something. I learned something. Okay. I learned something that has helped in this whole trans thing. Everything else that's happening today, you know, is how do I judge in such a negative way that I would split things up or make things uncomfortable? It's a big question. We don't talk about that question. We need to talk about that question, about the judgments that were all throughout the movement and how they hurt and how they should have taught us something about what's going on now. And I you know, I'm very passionate about this. I probably sound crazy to everybody here, but anyhow, that's the answer to the question from my point of view.
Thank you. Now, Kitty, Jennifer tells me that you have some new poems to read to us.
I do.
Might this be a good time for that?
Sure. I'll just look at the time, and I mean, I'm gonna go, what, 10 minutes max. This poem was commissioned by the Smithsonian for their exhibit, A Day in the Life of Queer Asian Pacific America. A day in my normal lesbian life. This is a day in my life. This is a day in my normal lesbian life. I begin my lesbian morning the way I like, the way I always like. Espresso, 3 shots, the taste of it strong in my mouth as I approach my favorite slope. No, I do not ski, but I know how to navigate the slope of your hip. I know it well. I climb the curve of your hip, my hand touching you, turning you, touching the cheeks of your perfectly beautiful ass. Walking our dogs, Bo and Luli, at the Albany Bulb is always part of my day, any day, every day. A day in the life of my normal lesbian life. Birdsong abounds. Crows compete with ravens. The tufted titmouse chimes in with its cheery chirps. Birdsong abounds. Swallows dipping in their flight as they do every day. They fly, dip, fly, any day, every day. Fly, day, fly. Sorry. News flashes disrupt the serenity of my normal lesbian life. Newsflash, 2 lesbians in love, 2 lesbians out for the night, harassed by 3 cis men, followed by bar to bar. No one is safe. Newsflash, build a wall. No one is safe. Muslim ban. No one is safe. DACA in question. No one is safe. Emboldened ice. No one is safe. No one is safe in a day in my life, a day in my normal lesbian life. Newsflash, so-called president lies, cheats, steals, runs a con with his cronies, crafting nefarious deeds to enrich themselves and their ilk. No one is safe. Newsflash, so-called president befriends dictators and despots, aspires to be like them. No one is safe. Sun, moon, stars, always constant despite crazed people in high places, making demonic decisions. No one is safe. Sun, moon, stars, a constant, like your arms around me, your lips on my cheek, your breath in my ear. I love you. I am yours until the end of time. I am safe. You are safe. We are safe in a day. This day we are safe. This day in my normal lesbian life. Okay, we've heard Nice Chinese Girl, so you don't need it live from me. Old, elderly, senile, senior, old timer, old fool, older than God. Over the hill, past the expiration date. Little old lady, LOL. Better hope you make it to old, LOL. A touch. Mommy fell the other night, spent an hour on the floor before crawling to Dad, partially paralyzed after a stroke. Dad, a stroke survivor, his arm twisted, right hand curled tightly into itself like a claw. Dad disabled, unable to help. I did not get the call till the next day. Mommy's in ER. Hip fractured in 2 places, will take time to heal. She is 91 today, a feisty, independent woman taking care of Dad, now disabled. Taking care of Dad as she has done all her life. Moved from hospital to care facility. a moment of tenderness before parting. Mommy and Dad reach for each other's hand. They touch, drop hands, reach for each other again. Childhood sweethearts, now both in their 90s, they reach for each other's hand. On parting, whisper in unison, I love you. No tears, no goodbyes, just a touch.
Yeah, good.
I'm going to end with, I'm going to finish today and end. This is from my book, The Words of a Woman. Breeze fire. It is out of print. But I hear it's selling on eBay for $420. So it's out there. A celebration of who I am, with no apologies to John Briggs, Anita Bryant, the Klan, or the moral majority. I am tired of people who presume to know who I am and telling me that what I do is not natural. Yesterday, I had lunch with my grandmother, paid the phone bill, did her errands, washed and waxed the floor, me grumbling all the while, and she grumbling all the while, washed and waxed the floor on my hands and knees. Today had winter melon soup for breakfast, cups of coffee and apple pie for lunch, wrote 2 poems and a letter to my sister in Long Beach. I have stopped eating meat and drinking alcohol. When my mind is foggy, my dreams disintegrate before I can grasp them. I am a woman who speaks in silence. I am into prayer and other simple things. I am not afraid of talking back to those who presume to know who I am and telling me that what I do is not natural. I am afraid only of forgetting the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. I am afraid only of forgetting Executive Order 9066, Tule Lake. I am afraid only of forgetting the ancient wisdom of leaf and soil and season. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kitty. That was really, really wonderful.
Beautiful.
Yes. We do have a question. Susan Lowney asks, is a tough available anywhere? I'm not sure what a tough is. So
Touch. I think she meant, is that what you meant? A touch?
Susan, maybe you can say in the chat, did you mean a touch?
Yes, a touch.
It's not available yet. It's in my next book, Nice Chinese Girls Don't.
Oh, the poem. Yes. I was looking, I was trying to puzzle out what is the tough part. So thank you. That was wonderful, Kitty. Jennifer, I wondered if you would tell us a little bit about, I think like so much of your work as a filmmaker has been telling overlooked lesbian stories. And so I wonder, are there overlooked lesbian stories that either you're hankering to tell next that are kind of in your sights, or are there other overlooked lesbian stories that you hope other people will take up now? Right, so that like work for you or work for other people.
Well, of course I think about things, but I know the difficulty in raising the money. I can't do it anymore. But one of the things I always wanted to do, there's 2 things I wanted to do. Well, there's more than 2 things that I wanted to do. But one of the things I wanted to do was Cheryl Clark's poem. I wanted to have that dramatized and read. I have it in my mind. I can see the damn thing in here.
Althea and Flaxie, is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. Has somebody done that already, or is there a play or something like that or anything?
Long time ago,
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
long time ago, but
Yeah,
not
no, not
not really.
video. Yeah.
No, not
I could
video.
see it as a drama, a drama poem, a drama poem. Anyhow, I can see
Michelle
it.
Parkerson wanted to do it, but I don't think she was able to make time to do it.
Oh, yeah. No, I see it anyhow. It's beautiful. It's lovely in here anyway. Um, and I'm doing a lot of writing with poetry. You know, it really is. It's really the money that's hobbled me. I've got several ideas. There's a woman who, you know, how do we live when we're 88 years old, we're feminists and we're lesbians? What do we want? Do we want relationships? Do we want sex? Do we want love? Do we want community? What the fuck do we want? You know, our stories are not being told, let alone talking about sex. Whether you're a woman who's a lesbian at 88 or straight, you know, we dried up prunes or whatever the fuck it is. So, you know, those kinds of films, those kinds of stories have yet to be told, and they can be written, no question. But I want to see them too, you know. So, yeah, I got ideas, but it's going to have to come out in words, and I'm still learning the craft of poetry, and that Kitty actually encouraged me to do. And one of the poems that's in Sinister Wisdom was actually a poem that I started while Kitty was still living in Long Beach, and it took many years before it finished. So it was great that you published it. But thanks for asking the creative questions so far. So it's poetry, and also I just want to say what else I'm doing. It's really important to me. Is that I'm working on an International Journal of Women's Studies that is focused on the work of Dr. Angela Bowen as a Black lesbian feminist scholar, activist, artist, and writer. I'm working with 3 other scholars, one from Spelman College, one from other colleges that I can't remember, and we hope to have it available on, in September online. So there's a lot going on here. Angela's, I have to try and prepare Angela's dance library for the Dance Library of New York City. Jerome Robbins is the largest Black library of dance in the world. And I'm going to put her stuff there, and then getting her Angela's total archives over to Spelman College along with Audre Lorde, because it was Angela that wrote the first dissertation about Audre Lorde. And the materials that we have is, it's really a treasure. So there's a lot of work I have to do on that kind of stuff, and the poetry helps me creatively. If I didn't have that, I would go crazy. And I make little iMovies for things like I made a little iMovie that I could send to you, actually, if you want, of the rock band that I was in when I sang the abortion song in front of the White House, which we're going to fucking need again in Oklahoma. And so I make iMovies, and I really love making iMovies. So I can do that and have fun with that. But the big stuff, I'm just glad I got the body of work done.
That's great.
So.
We have a question here from Shadra Pittman, who asks, Jennifer, can you share any of your poetry or share how poetry has inspired your work, especially in light of the recent horrific crimes targeted at the Asian community?
Yeah, I wrote a poem specifically addressing that. I don't think that there's any other way to deal with this stuff as a human being except through poetry. Exactly. I mean, not even videos or dramas or anything, because you have to take it in and breathe it. It's not even fiction anymore. It's more science fiction. This is all happening in such a surreal way. So I'm grateful. I started a group called Poetry with Friends, and there's about 5 or 6 of us that get together every other week. And Kate Barraletti, where are you? Katie, there's right here. She's in New Zealand. Kate's in New Zealand, and she's in the Poetry with Friends group, and we help to critique each other's poetry. It's vital to me. I really would go mad. This is just, I don't know how to absorb it all, and keep trying to live. I mean, it's not an easy thing, not only through COVID, but I'm a widow, and that goes on for a while. So, where I think we're all really in need of each other so much. So I really appreciate this opportunity to speak with lesbians. It's not really happened before. It's my cell phone. Just ignore it, it'll go away.
Okay, great. So, Kitty, I wonder if, as we're hitting the top of the hour, and I'm going to start our dance number soon, but I wanted to give you an opportunity, if you'd like to say some final words, address anything that you want. Oh, and Margot asks, Kitty, do you have a work or comments about the recent crimes against the Asian community? So you can respond to that. Oh, and you're muted.
2 or 3 sentences. If people think that anti-Asian sentiments and Asian attacks began now, you are totally wrong. It's been going on for a long time. It just hasn't been publicized the way it has been because of what some idiots talk about, China and how blame China and China did this, that, and the other. I feel like we're vulnerable because, number one, people still see us as the model minority. We don't speak up. We're not going to make waves. We're not going to complain. Some of us are smaller and slighter in stature. And so we seem more vulnerable. About a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, my partner and I were going to San Francisco. We were about to get on a BART train. So we were walking, we were at the BART station. We walked past a man, very well dressed, youngish, middle-aged maybe. We passed him. Fucking Chinese! That followed us all the way down the station. Before that, of course, my partner turned around and I knew there was going to be trouble if I didn't grab her. She says she's from Brooklyn, so that's what they do there. People talk a lot about, having conversations, and that's great. It's great having a conversation. We've been having a conversation for a long fucking time. Let's really do something. And that's why this whole, I don't want to get into this really. The different movements that we have right now, I think they're really going to coalesce into one movement.
I'm hoping.
It may take time, but I'm optimistic. Did I answer the question?
Absolutely. And I have a request. Dr. Clark has been back channeling me and saying, may we publish your full poem about aging on the Sinister Wisdom website and share it in our email as a way for everyone to be able to see it?
Oh, that's a good suggestion, because I was trying to figure out, okay, I'm not going to send this poem. It's one of my long ones, Jennifer. It's one of my 16-page ones, but I have some that are 1 page. Anyway, I was trying to figure out how I was gonna, send it out. So yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Jill.
If you send it to me on email, I'll get it up on the website, and I'll put it with the video and also put it in an email newsletter. We have reached that time, so thank you, Kitty, for that. That will be lovely, and I know folks will appreciate it. We have reached the top of the hour. I want to thank everyone for coming. I'd like to remind people that next week we have another reading that will be a reading celebrating fan fiction and lesbian fiction. It will be here on Zoom on May 4th at 7 p.m. We'll be getting out more information about it. And we have a number of other activities on Zoom that will be happening between now and mid-June. And then we are taking at least a 2-month break, possibly a 3-month break from Zoom, so that I can do some other things besides event planning. And so I thank you for coming, and encourage you to come to everything we're doing in May and June. And now I need to do a bunch of technical things and remove pins and get our music ready to share. And then everybody can dance and listen and enjoy. And there's the last pin. I'm putting us in gallery view. I'm hitting share. We are sharing the song by, when I'm only going to share the sound. I'm going to try to only share the computer sound. We're sharing the song, The L Word by Your Girlfriend. They graciously let us share this. Lots of folks like to dance and use it. So I'm going to start it now. You can unmute, wave, and enjoy the music.
Music.com. R-A-T-A-R-A-T.
Lesbians and gays has increased every year since the start of the AIDS crisis. We still fear losing our jobs. We are denied places to live. We are here today to say enough is enough. We are ready to live as full and equal members of society, and we are ready to fight for our freedom. So give me an L, give me an E, give me an S, give me a B.